Practice does not remove rejection. It trains you to stay anyway. And honestly, I think I misunderstood practice for years because I was doing it wrong. Because I thought that if I practice enough, I would stop feeling embarrassed by it. I would stop freezing. I would stop panicking. I would stop caring what people thought. Mm-mm. But you know what happened? Because even after all the training that I did, right? Even after all the qualification I collected, even after all the experience that I put under my belt, that feeling still showed up sometimes. It was still there. And I think for me, the moment I fully understood why, it just changed everything for me. So in today's video, I really wanted to let's dive into it. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what really is showing up for us when we're trying to avoid this rejection. We're trying to avoid all those things. Because I genuinely thought that through practice, it was supposed to make things stop hurting. It was supposed to make me get it. Like eventually, if I became skilled enough, nothing would get me anymore. I'll be locked in. There'll be no more rejection affected. There'll be the awkwardness would disappear. The embarrassment, like the pressure. Come on now, what pressure? That's what I thought. And then one day, I walked into an interpreting assignment and I suddenly felt like completely unshakable. Like, let's go. Like, man, we are clocking, we on board, we are rolling. I mean, that's what I thought would happen. That day will come and I'll feel this unshakable thing happening. Like that, I'll go in there and like bring it. What? I'm there. That was my thinking. That I will practice till I get to that point. But you know what? That day never came. I'm still waiting for that day to come. Like waiting to be that, right? Thinking, yeah, practice will get me there and I'll do that. Because I remember that. Like, here's the thing. I remember being in an assignment where logically, okay, we're talking logic now. I knew what I was doing. I owned like syntax. I knew the signs. I was prepared. I like the um the domain. Like I had that in the bag. Like it was my thing. I loved it. Like I was fully locked in. Like got me prepared and everything. And then suddenly somebody just would finger something that like they did it so quickly that I just went like, huh. I looked so confused. And then when that happened, I asked for clarification. And in that process of asking, my body just reacted. The whole body reacted. My chest tightened. My shoulders went tense, like, oh my gosh, Nene, you've got this. You were locked in. You had this. My thoughts started speeding up, like, what are you doing? Like, what the I was having a full-on conversation in my head with myself. And all of a sudden, I just wasn't interpreting anymore. I was all up in my head. In my head, I was trying to survive the moment emotionally, trying to do that in real time. And when that used to frustrate me so much because I would think like, why is this still affecting me? Why the heck am I reacting like this? What is going on? Why can't I just be confident? I've got this locked in. So what's the problem? What? Then that day came. I just realized, you know what? This practice was never going to remove this rejection, you know? I'm always going to feel like this. This thing isn't happening. What is happening is I was training my nervous system to just keep surviving it without realizing, without even thinking. And yeah, that changed it for me, everything, because suddenly the goals now changed because it wasn't about, I had to never feeling uncomfortable again in whatever scenario, in whatever situation I'm in. My because before it was about, man, let's just keep practicing until we get to the point that nothing would shake us. We would like flow with the look, the say, whatever people do, it's not going to affect us. When I had that realization that that was actually that's not the goal. That you to never feel uncomfortable. The goal now became, can I stay steady enough inside the discomfort? That was the new focus. Because this thing I was trying for so long to keep practicing and doing so well and showing up and doing the thing so that I never feel embarrassed, so I never feel uncomfortable, so I never feel like icky, like whatever that is, wasn't working for me. Because I was doing this for years. And if anything, it was just making things worse for me. And I just carried on like breathing. But when I changed what that meant. Like, okay, maybe it's just for me to know how to be in this discomfort, for me to know how to be in this situation. The thing starts changing. Because when pressure happens in real time, your nervous system does not care how many certification you have, how many degrees and how many like trainings you have. What your nervous system cares about? Have we survived this before? Have we done this before? And how did we do? Were we okay with how we rode the last time we were in this kind of like, situation? That's what the nervous system cares about. That's why every time you go to a certain situation, you get that feeling again. You start having that anxious, like you see that one person, and then they give you that look, and they're like, "Ooh," and something happens. But the nervous system doesn't really care so much. It just cares like, look, how did we handle this last time we were in this kind of like situation? How did our body do? Like, what was going on? Because every time you stay present instead of disappearing, every time you recovered instead of like collapsing yourself in those real time, every time you keep going instead of emotionally reacting, your body learns something new. It learns it's okay. We're good. You know what? We survived that before. We were fine in this situation. So we can do this again. It learned, oh, last time we're here, we stayed with this. We rode. We showed up. Last time someone said something about us, we were like, oh, we were like duck underwater. It didn't phase us. We just, whatever. Last time something happened and the post, someone did whatever, you didn't delete it. You just let it run its course. So maybe it's like, oh, not being visible didn't destroy us. So we can do this again. We can do another post. We can show up again, get that job. Do like, so our body's learning differently. And that's what practice started meaning to me. We survived that. We did that. Oh my gosh, girl. Like, did you see how we rolled in that? Like, did you see our tonality? Did you see how we voiced that thing over? We were good. We look how quickly we recovered from that thing, how we kind of like got back into play. The nervous system's learning that one. Not, oh, I have to be this goody two shoe perfect. Like, yes, I'm like, I am the interpreter. So I've got this, and like, we don't make mistakes, and everything flows accordingly. And da, 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 da. No, we were in like hyper mode doing that. When I changed how I saw things and realized, oh, we say this. Somebody else's opinion is not a fact. It's not. It's how they're just doing it. Like you learn to be present regardless of what's going on, and the nervous system learns that okay, somebody raising their hands to spell something doesn't mean danger. It means okay, let's get this. Okay, let's work on that. So they're changing it, changing what that meant to me. And honestly, this changed how I showed up everywhere, not just in my interpreting work. Showed up in my speaking gig, like how like posting online when I was doing training, when I'm coaching people. That just changed everything because I stopped expecting myself to become fearless. And I started practicing steadiness instead. Because when you really look at successful people, It's not that they're fearless, they just fear less. And every time they show up, that fear negates, gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And it just changes how things roll. Because if you ever feel like I will just keep doing this until I become so good at it that nothing changes me, nothing floors me, I am so good, you're missing the mark. You keep on keeping on, and you will keep riding on overdrive, trying to keep that nervous system steady. And really, it's not about how do I never feel rejection again. Like, hey, look, it's not a thing. You can't say, "Oh, you I never want to feel rejection." What we should be thinking about is like, how do I stay connected to myself when the rejection happens? Because if you're ever trying to avoid it, oh my goodness, it's a losing battle. But if you take it from a different angle, like, okay, if this rejection happened, how am I just gonna like, I still have to show my face. I still have to do the thing. Am I going to like just not like, hey, you get to run the show. You still get to do the thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's while we're just talking about, I just remembered, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I would say, I guess if he falls under the umbrella of rejection, more so like the embarrassment, I guess you could put it in the lines of the rejection when I was like still nursing my kids, one of my boys, and I was like, so I was like going back into work. And fortunately for me, it was just kind of like in and out. I just go in and then come back. And I was like, okay, let's go and do the one booking. And my husband was like, you know, had the was looking after him. So while I went in there to change so that I don't wake him up and then I don't affect the mood or whatever. So I did everything like in silence and the whole I didn't want to turn any lights on. Okay. So everything was done in like I was like oh my gosh, a thief in the night. I know, wrong analogy, but like I just did not want to wake the kid up. And then in that process, did my thing, got myself ready, and I left. And look, you got to catch that train. Ran for the train, got into the train, and I was there standing there waiting on, like, doing my thing platform by platform. And you can just see people laughing, like niggling and like stuff like that. Like, what the heck is so funny? Why is everyone laughing? And I had my coach, fortunately, was still kind of like this spring. We're just coming off the heavy winter period and we just get into spring. And you can just see people looking and smiling. I'm like, oh my gosh. I looked at myself. I had my top not only inside out, but back to front. That's how bad it was. And in that moment of the embarrassment and like it's such a weird example for this, but it just came to mind because of like, oh my goodness, I felt so embarrassed and somewhat like, oh, like I rejected myself from wanting to use the train again because now these are similar people that I commute with. Like, you don't know people, but you kind of like know the kind of people that we catch the same kind of like time train. We had da, 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 da. And they were, instead of like, we've been doing this stuff together and you didn't even like, oh, baby, look at yourself or whatever. Instead, you're laughing. You're laughing at me. I thought, okay, I have to find another way to do this thing to get to where I'm going to now. I'm not going to like be using this way to get to the point that, you know what? I'm going to keep showing up because one, you're not paying my bills. Two, you don't know me from Adam. And thank goodness it wasn't the era of people just filming people for no reason. But that rejection from people you thought were your people, per se, I don't know me from Adam, but you kind of like you see people around, and then for them to now act that way, another story for another time. But it was just having to then anchor myself that, look, people, it ain't pay my bill. I'm gonna have to keep like showing up and then keep like doing my thing and learning from that before you leave the house. That's why people have mirrors by the door. Check yourself, Nene, before you go out. Even if the light is off, look at yourself. Anyway, side note, let's get back to the program. But that's kind of like what I'm like, what I really want us to understand, that if our nervous system is not stable, if I'd allowed myself to just go with the shape of like, you know what, we're not going through that place again because I keep using this route, we'll keep like doing our thing. And now people now look at me some ways and I'm now feeling wrong in my head. I know this is a wrong analogy and wrong example, but it's what came to mind while I was like talking about this. Because I think that's why so many capable people just keep stopping right before the breakthrough. They're about to just like clock it. And the next thing is like, no, I'm done. This is not for me. I can't do this anymore. I thought that if I just did that one more training or did that one more thing, then I'll be there and I'll get it. But it wasn't. Because they think the discomfort means this isn't for me. I'm not meant to do this. I'm not, it's not my calling. When really, sometimes the discomfort is just your nervous system learning that we've never been safe here before. That's what it's learned. So that's what it's showing. And the only way your body can learn you can survive visibility is by surviving the invisibility, by doing it anyway. So maybe practicing was never about becoming untouchable. Maybe practice is building that muscle that maybe is about becoming steady enough to stay, to keep showing up, to keep doing you, being anchored in self. And this is landing for you. Share it with someone who keeps stopping right before the moment that matters for them. That is really what they need. Because when we can truly anchor in ourselves, that we're not doing stuff to avoid the discomfort or to avoid the rejection, the embarrassment, whatever that is for us. And it's about, oh, when it does happen, how do we still stay present? How do we keep still showing up? How do we do the thing that we say we're doing? I am Nene. We do this every single day. Remember that your voice matters and it's your time to use it. Bye for now.